Hi guys. Today's podcast is sponsored by Ashiri Beauty. Ashiri Beauty is a beauty brand. Just check them out on www.ashiribeauty.ng or www.ashiribeauty.com. Get your amazing beauty skincare products from Ashiri Beauty. Again, Ashiri Beauty is sponsoring this podcast. Thank you. Hi, nice to meet you, Tobi Benson. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. I know we've been talking for a while. And before I go in to talk more, I want you to introduce yourself. As I know, based on all of our catch-up, the goal for us today is to talk about budgeting. As you know, Fin with Low is all about finance, wealth, building businesses, scaling, and saving for the future. So our topic is budgeting today. And before we get in there, I want you to just introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you very much, Lola. First, I'm excited to meet you in person. So I'm Tobi Benson. I like to call myself T-Ben.
T-Ben.
Yes. So I'm a finance professional. I've been in finance for like 10 years now.
Nice.
I currently work with Zest.
Yeah.
And I'm also a mom to 3 amazing boys.
Yeah.
So when I'm not crunching numbers, I'm at home bonding with the boys. I'm also an entrepreneur on the side.
Nice.
But yes, that's me in a nutshell. I'm a finance professional, mom to 3 amazing boys. I'm a wife and also entrepreneur.
Perfect. And I'm sure you actually budget your way to dealing with family when it comes to finances and also dealing with your side business.
Exactly.
So I think this is a very good topic for us to learn more about that. So I would want to start with this question. What is like your thoughts? What's your definition of budgeting in your own words?
In my own words, I'd say budgeting is planning for your money and your life.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. It's that simple. So when a lot of people hear budgeting, they just feel, all these things you people do. But it's just planning. Budgeting is planning. You plan for your money. Ultimately, you plan for your life. So I'd say budgeting is planning for your life. That's simple.
Perfect. Yeah. I actually do agree because there's a lot of day-to-day things that our life is involved in budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unforeseen circumstances happen, but if we budget towards that, it kind of helps us. Yeah. I have a few other questions for you. How important is budgeting? Like you said, for life, for people's everyday life, how do you see budgeting as a key factor for us to keep going in life?
So budgeting is an important tool that helps us to stay guided at every point in time. Again, when it comes to finances, money, if you don't plan, you wake up and you notice that, what happened to this money? It feels like a bird that is flying away.
I agree.
Growing up, my mom, till date, she does budgeting. Every time my mom goes to the market, when she comes back, before going, she would write what she wants to spend the money on.
Mm-hmm.
So she already have an expectation. Okay, this is for this, this is for this, this is for this. And when she comes back, she will also write, okay, so this is how I spend the money. And then she ensures that everything is fine. So budgeting helps us every step of the way to plan everything we want to do. In today's world where everything seems to be fast, budgeting keeps you in check if you develop the discipline of budgeting. So today I see a lot of people, we have different categories of people, but especially for people that have some form of income, I see them constantly saying things like, I'm broke, I need to borrow. And in my head, I'm like, okay, didn't you plan for this income that is coming? Right? If you're not planning for your income, what will happen is that you begin to live beyond your means. You're always broke. Then you begin to borrow and it becomes a cycle. So before the next income comes in, you already have a debt that is taking it off. And before you know what's up, you are overwhelmed. You are frustrated. You want to wear the trendy things. You just lose guard. And you might start doing some things you're not supposed to do, especially when you get into the cycle of debts. It's very difficult to break. So that's where budgeting comes as a tool, because when you plan, okay, this is my budget for fashion. This is my budget for feeding. This is my budget for the future, especially everybody needs to have what they want to achieve in life, we need to always think about tomorrow. Again, I keep telling people your income is made up of funds for today and funds for tomorrow. So if you finish today's income today, then tomorrow there's trouble ahead, right? So it's really, really a tool that helps to guide our daily activities and ensure that we do not harm our future, in quotes. That's
agree.
why we really need to budget.
Actually, I think that's actually a very good detailed breakdown of how budget is actually very important, starting from how your mom budgets by writing everything. I myself, I actually use Excel.
Yes.
I use Excel. I write. Then I think for me, the maths on Excel is very fast. So I use Excel a lot to like plan. I know sometimes, even with that fact, sometimes I see when I do my maths, okay, this is what I'm going to do at the end of, for the whole month. This is what I'm going to spend. Sometimes I see in between, like I probably might go over. So I kind of also put like miscellaneous just in case. But it kind of keeps me in check. Because if I'm like, I walk out and I'm thinking of buying something I never planned and it doesn't fit into my fashion or random budget, I already know that you cannot go beyond this.
Yes.
And
I also use Google Sheets.
Yeah.
So before my income comes, I already know, okay, what this is going to this bucket and all. So, for example, yesterday I was somewhere and I saw a beautiful denim and I bought it. I didn't plan for it. So what it means is that in my fashion budget, something has to go.
Something has to go.
Because the denim has taken that place. So I'm not going to go beyond that budget for now. I mean, it was on sale and the lady was trying to tell me that she has so many other items on sale. I'm like, it's fine. I can see they're all lovely, but I will choose my priority. The denim is what I want to go for. And I'm willing to sacrifice the other stuff. But, because I already have a band for this fashion
threshold of what you're gonna...
Exactly. So I'm not interested in the other beautiful items. I can always come back to it. Even when it's not on sales, it's fine. But for now, this is what I'm going for. And that is budgeting for you, helping you to stick to your plan.
Yes. I do agree with that. Just moving forward, most people think that budgeting is reserved for like broke people. I'm rich, I don't really have to see what is leaving my account. And they think it's like more for broke people and maybe accountants.
Exactly.
What's your thought on that? Like, what do you think? How can that mindset of people change? What's your thought about that type of mindset?
So I think I'll divide it into two buckets. So for maybe individuals with an income and also individuals with business, the small business.
Yeah.
Right. So it's something that we need to always have at the back of our mind that this is a tool that is going to help me. Right. There are some people today, yes, they have a lot of money and they don't know what is happening to the money. For some people, they might be lucky, or maybe you have parents that have, built enough for you and you're not really, really interested. But things happen. Life can happen. If you're not planning, you wake up one day and it looks like you're in trouble. It looks like heaven is going to fall because you weren't planning.
Yeah.
So irrespective of where you are in life, the affluence, you're not so financially buoyant, or you even think that your income is not enough, you still need to budget. Again, maybe every time we talk about budget, we should remember that it's a plan. So it's not some thing in the hair. It's a plan, your personal plan.
Yeah.
It's a personal financial plan, right? So if I'm earning 1 million, I need to plan for it. If I'm earning 100,000, I need to plan for it. Now, the same way you plan for 100,000 is the same way you plan for 1 million, 100 million. Because when you're earning 100 or 500,000 naira or dollars and you're not planning, that's the same thing that will happen because it's an attitude. By the time you start earning more, you're going to waste it because you didn't cultivate the habit of planning when you had a little. And that's what's going to happen. And then we see a lot of these things. Growing up, I was telling my friend recently that, when I was growing up, I used to see my parents' friend. They used to be very rich. But these days,
it's not like
so I now we started talking about it that these people weren't planning. They were very rich, like people we look up to. But right now, I mean, they are not working actively, but if they have planned, they should. There's an expectation, but that's not what I'm seeing right now. That's because they fail to plan, and that's what's going to happen. For small business owners, it is very, very rampant. So, they just getting the revenue. They are not keeping tabs on their numbers, and they're just running the business. So what is happening to this business exactly? No idea.
And
That's because they're not planning. They're not budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have an expectation. If I have the revenue today, it's fine. If it doesn't come, not a problem. I'm broke, right? So again, it still goes back to the attitude of planning. This is where I want to be at this time. This is what I need to do to be here at this time. So it's very important, and we must know that it's an attitude so that we have it at the back of the mind, you know. Like my son will say, Mommy, I want to buy this. He wanted something. I said, go and choose. He said, Mommy, what's the budget for this? I said, okay.
Oh, that's so
Now
cute.
you know. So you can't just buy any. There's a plan for everything, because if you spend without planning, something will give for it. So the earlier we, you know, inculcate these habits, the better for everybody involved. So that I'm all about the future, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to enjoy today and in 10, 20 years time, standard of living has dropped. It's because of my actions today. So I really am planning for the future, much as I want to enjoy myself today. And that's what budgeting would help you achieve.
Yeah, I actually do agree. I like the way you broke it down into two phases, where we have like the affluent and maybe a regular corporate person, and market women, people that are just on an average level. The fact, and also including the fact that it's a behavioral type.
Yeah.
Inculcating that behavior from the early stage kind of stays with people. Even when you
Exactly.
have the little, it kind of helps you even plan for the bigger part.
Yes.
Just to even touch back, I know for example, the regular people that have like maybe small businesses, small shops, that a lot of times they are doing well, but because they're not budgeting. I just thinking about that. Do you think those type of, I think one of the things that I'm thinking that there might be an opportunity for, I think, is education. Because some of those type of people, they probably, I don't know what you think on that aspect, on maybe the local government needs to figure a way to create like an educational opportunity for these people when it comes to budgeting. What do you think about that?
Yes, I think education will go a long way. Yes, we can say the local government, but at every point in time, the responsibility to develop the life we want is really with us. Right. So, I mean, there are resources, a lot of free resources actually, on how to build your business, how to plan for it. But the question is, are they really looking to this? Right. So, I mean, there's no one approach to fix this.
Yeah.
But as long as these people understand that, okay, this is an habit I need to inculcate, this is an habit that will help my business grow, that will help my business scale.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't monitor, you can't scale, right? So that education is really, really important for them. Maybe a platform where this is available to them will help. Yeah, it will help. I trust it will help. Yeah, it will help.
But above all, is left to the individual to actually figure out and understand the importance of budgeting and planning for the future.
Exactly.
Actually,
I mean, for some of these business owners, for example, because they are not planning, they are not able to scale. If, for example, your business is at a point where you need like an overdraft, and then you want to approach a financial institution, how do you approach them? No numbers, historical performance, nothing. Right? So it becomes difficult for them to scale. That's because they left that habit of planning, monitoring what is happening in their business. So that is one thing that will continue to make them small. Because they don't have access to finance that will help them scale their business. So it still goes back to this habit of planning. Habit of planning, monitoring, and all of that. So that is why it's also important for small business owners to know their numbers, to plan for their numbers, and monitor at every point in time.
Perfect. I think that's actually very insightful. Just moving on.
Okay.
With the current Nigerian economy and how things are expensive than usual, what can people do better when it comes to budgeting? You know, everything is like skyrocket, like fuel, every daily thing. I think it's really crazy how everything is expensive, and I don't know how some people are able to budget well, but I would like you to share more about that.
Okay, so times like this, we need to make adjustments. So for me, for example, my cost of fueling has increased. And the first time I noticed, I realized that, so effectively what I'm saving has decreased because I need to take from my savings to add to this. So there are two approaches to this. There's a top line approach. There's a bottom line approach. Top line approach would be to increase your income.
Yeah.
If you're a salary earner is your employer planning to, adjust your salary just to cushion this effect? If you're a business owner, it means that you need to increase your activities. So you need to 10x your
Yeah.
revenue, right? Because your cost is increasing and there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Agree.
So increase the top line. Either you increase your income, increase your revenue. If you have skills you think can help you earn extra income, this is the time to put such skills to play so you can add to the top line really. Now the bottom line, some of these things we can't control, so we might need to cut down on some things, right? So for example, maybe fashion budget will be scaled down a bit, right? Fashion budget is very, very easy to cut.
It's very easy to cut. It's not necessary.
It's very, very easy to cut, right? Cut down on your fashion budget. Maybe you don't have to eat out at every point in time. Start cooking your meals. You don't have to go to the cinema every Friday. Create a cinema in your living room. That's how you can cut the unnecessary expenses, right?
Yeah.
Because the major expense, for example, food, transportation, you can't do anything about it. You would eat. If you have children, they will eat. They're not even bothered. They want to eat, right? So those are areas where you can cut down on the bottom layer, just so that you are sure that, okay, I'm not spending unnecessarily. If the party is not necessary, please cancel it. It doesn't have to be a big party. I had a birthday party for my son recently, and it wasn't more than, I think, 40 people. It doesn't have to be 100, right? It's just to have a good time with your family. It's the memory that is important, not the fanfare and all of that. So those are approach you can use to manage your expenses, your income in period like this. The most important thing is that you need to increase your top line, right? Your income, your revenue, other income. And if you have been budgeting before now, if you've been putting away some funds and you've been investing, now your interest income will also help you, right? So beyond the income you're expecting at the end of the month, you say that, okay, I'm expecting this interest, okay, to help me. At least if you're not spending the interest, it will increase your savings, right? And you are not so bothered that, okay, my cost is increasing. So all of these strategies put together would help you stay financially fit this period and basically avoid depression, because it's a lot right now. It's really, really.
Yeah, I actually agree.
It is. Things are so expensive. Like every time I want to buy anything, I just have a budget. Wherever we exhaust it, that's it. Just start with the very important ones. Once you're done, every other thing can wait till maybe next income or next revenue, however we want to do it, but we will just continue to stick to our plan so that we have never to put the future in any form of harm and all of that. I'm all about thinking about tomorrow, because I know that the energy I have today, I will not have it in the next 25 years. So we also need to plan for the future. So that's how we can manage times like this. Hopefully we'll get out of this season very, very soon. We are trusting and praying for our leaders.
Hopefully. I think inflation are things that it just happens in life, like in previous years before we ever existed. World War I came in, and those things affected the economy. How it's just unforeseen circumstances will always come happen. And how do we plan for that? And I know from the top line, looking at that top line, I'm going to go back to the bottom line, but looking at that top line of how can you increase your budget, or maybe use your skill sets that you have to create more financial ways to raise more income. Do you have any recommendation how, for example, I work in a corporation, I know due to inflation, how can I walk up to my team? Do you recommend me? How can I walk up to my team and maybe my boss and say, okay, you know what? I know I'm doing well. The economy is bad. How can you help me to raise my income? Because I know a lot of companies will push back on that, but I don't know if you have any tips on that can help people. I know I won't say the other one until you're done, but
Okay, so basically, times like this, I think a lot of organizations now are sensitive to what is happening. So if you look at the human resource team, they are more proactive. So they know that things are really, really tough right now. We need to add that cost of living adjustment to our employees' salary. However, not all organizations are doing that. So it's now left to you to have that conversation with your line manager. And this is where you must ensure that your performance is top notch. If you are giving value to your organization, you should have that sit down with your line manager to let them know that, okay, right now, things are so expensive and I desire a cost of living adjustment. So it's not necessary, it's not even a pay raise. It's not based on performance.
Yeah.
It's to say that based on the current rate of inflation, my earning power has decreased. Right? So that $1,000, that 10,000 naira is effectively now 5,000 naira. Right?
Okay.
So we need to do that adjustment. That's separate from pay raise. That's separate from promotion. So it's a conversation that should happen. Walk up to your line manager and let them know that this is how I'm feeling. I'm sure the organization would, also they know what is happening. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. It's not one sector of the economy. It's everywhere. So if your organization is not proactive about it, then walk up to your manager to let them know that, okay, this is my challenge and this is how I will appreciate that you help me in times like this. And also, that's just cost of living adjustment. We should also be aimed to add value to the organization so that that conversation is easy, right? If you're not adding value, it's going to be a difficult conversation.
I agree.
Right? But when you're adding value, yes, the conversation is easy. And when it comes to performance, appraisal period, end of the year, bonus and all of that, because you have added value, you stand a good chance of getting a promotion or a pay raise or a good bonus.
Yeah.
So that's what employees can do to increase, at least adjust their pay right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just adding to that, do you think another better, because from research, I heard, and based on my research also, that an easier way to raise your income is when you leave your organization to another organization. What do you think?
Okay. So, different school of thoughts.
Yeah.
And I would share my own experience, right? When I started my career, we heard about it. And I have examples of people that have stayed in the same company for like over 10 years, 20 years. And I can see the progression. So it's a personal choice, really, of what you want to achieve in your own career. I've been lucky to work in great organizations. So in my own organization, there's always this adjustment happening, and there's job enrichment for me also. So while I'm on this particular role, I get the opportunity to move on to another role to add value to myself and to my organization.
Okay.
Right? So I would really say that personally, I don't really fall into that bucket. I only change job when I feel like, okay, I want to do something different, or I want to move to the next level in my career. Of course, when you're moving to the next level, the outcome is that you will get a pay raise, right? But I'm not of the school of thought to always jump for pay raise, right? Because you get to a point where the required value and skill set you need, you didn't get it. You were just jumping. You get stuck at some point. Because when you get to that leadership position where you're supposed to be adding a lot of value, because you were jumping, you didn't get the skills required, you'll be stuck.
I agree.
Then you realize that people that took time to get the value, the skill set, they will meet you there and they will surpass you. Right? So it just feels like a late boomer and early boomer. Those that jump, they're early boomers, right? They get stuck. The late boomers will catch up and they will surpass because they have built depth in their career and they are able to add value at a large scale. So that's my own school of thoughts.
Okay, that's very insightful. Then going back to the bottom, because I know you broke it down into two. From the bottom side, I know you had mentioned about cutting budgets. I know sometimes it's very difficult for people to, I know we find fashion is very easy, but sometimes it's very difficult for people to cut budgets and everything's expensive. Do you think there are other particular ways, maybe moving apartments, maybe there are other specific particular way that can help them reduce at that bottom level?
Yes. You can change brands, right? I saw a post on Instagram where people were talking about the brands they change. I don't want to mention brand, but there are different brands of milk, for example. If you feel this is too expensive, can you just move to another brand that is providing the same quality, but the price is reduced? You can consider, for example, when it comes to transportation, you can consider carpooling.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of driving every day, can you look for someone that goes your way and then you guys carpool? I take my car this week, we take your car next week. That way, effectively, it's just 2 weeks of transportation cost on me and 2 weeks of transportation cost on you. So yes, that's another strategy to help. Again, because of I was myself and my husband we were laughing randomly yesterday. I'm like, if you're going out is not important, stay at home.
Still.
Because we used to just joke about it that outside is expensive. So if I'm not going to work, if what I'm going to do outside is not so important, can we do it on Zoom? Can we do a video call? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So all of these are other strategies that we can use to cut. Personally, there's a particular brand that we've even cut from the food. Do you understand? I mean, like, it's not worth it. We have to be realistic with ourselves. For us, this is not working at the moment. Maybe some other time, but at this point, we'll have to stay away from this particular brand. I mean, there are other things that we can eat. Right? It's not a do or die affair. It's just it's a want. It's not very, very important. So those are strategies that we can use.
Nice. That's really helpful. I'm sure the viewers will be very excited about all of these tips.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next question. What's your experience budgeting as a leader of an organization?
Okay. So as in my organization or in organizations I've worked with, I mean, we have a structure and we have proper governance in my organization. So we have a time where we do the planning for the year. So for example, we are entering into a new year. We've done planning for next year. I mean, it's an activity that you do before the start of a new financial year. So it's not something you do when the year starts, right? So we already have a plan. What are we looking to deliver top line? Okay, so we want to deliver 25% growth in revenue. How is this going to happen? We break it down into the product lines. Okay, this product, this is what we expect. These are the capabilities we are deploying. So we expect this product to grow faster. You know, all of that assumption goes in and we come up with a number we want to achieve and we break it down into periods. So, okay, this is how this product will move. In the Q1, because we know that, okay, this capability is not ready yet, we expect to start seeing the numbers grow from Q2 to Q4. So, you know, we break down the budget that way. And also for our bottom line, that's the operating expense, we also want to detail what we want to do. So that is where we work with the business leaders also. Everybody, please come up with your plan. What are you planning to do next year? Right? Because they are the owners of the business, they already have an idea of what they are doing based on the unit. You know, the unit that is responsible for audits knows that, okay, I would engage consultants, this is the price. And we make assumptions because we also know there's inflation. I know that, okay, every year I do my statutory audits. So there's also that adjustment for inflation that will factor into this. So if I paid for example, $2,000 for audits last year, okay, I would add, say, 5% for inflation. So that's my expectation for the coming year. So that is how we go about the budgeting. And that's what most organizations do. So small businesses also need to get into the habit of doing this planning, right? So a lot of small business just wake up and like, what's happening today? But if they develop the habit of planning at least 1 year, in fact, planning should be 5 years, right? We have long-term plans, we have medium-term, then we break it down and cascade into daily actions. So small business also should do that. Like, okay, where do I see this business in the next 5 years? Okay, Ashiri Beauty needs to deliver 100 million revenue. By year 5, what do we need to start doing today to ensure this happens? That's the same thing organizations do. They look into the future. In the next 5 years, this is where we want to be. This is the kind of value we want to attract. What do we need to do today to get there? Right? So it starts with a plan. You bring it down and budget year on year and start taking action. So by January, most companies will start a new financial year. They start tracking the revenue. Okay, Ashiri Beauty, you're supposed to sell 10,000 units of serum in January. Why are you selling just 2,500 units? You have a budget gap in there. It means that if you're short by 7,500, you need to add it. You need to make up for it in the coming months. Otherwise, you will not hit your goal for the month. So that's tracking. Yeah. So the tracking happens day on day, month on month. You work closely with the business owners and that tracking happens. On the operating expense side, that tracking also happens. So most organizations do not encourage spending outside the budget. So if there's something you need to buy, for example, Ashiri Beauty now says, oh, we need a truck because we need to increase our delivery vans and all of that. If we didn't include it in the budget, then there's something called extra budgetary approval. You need to go back to your management to say, oh, we need to go for this expense. And you need to tell us why we need to make this investment now, because you already missed it out in your planning, right? So once you get the approval, then, there must be justification to say, okay, we've sold, we've gone beyond our plan already for Q1. We're supposed to sell 20,000 beauty box. We've sold 30,000, and we believe that by buying this additional van, we can increase the number of beauty boxes we are selling. That's a motivation, right?
Yeah.
Management to say, okay, let's go with this plan, right? So that's deviation from the plan for the year, but it's okay. As long as we're adding value, we're fine. So that is how the tracking happens along the year. So there's always performance review, monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, and year-end comes. And, as long as Ashiri Beauty surpasses its budget, it can pay bonus.
Yeah.
So everyone returns to shareholders, dividend and all. So that's how the planning works. And I really, really think that small businesses need to start planning.
Yeah.
Small businesses need to plan. Like, when I see small businesses, when they don't plan, I feel like, what's happening here? Do you understand? It's the same thing that the big companies are doing. They only just need to understand it and follow through, and they will get the results. They will scale. Recall earlier in the conversation, I was talking about how small businesses are not able to access finance.
Yeah.
Because they are not planning, they are not monitoring their finance. Big business, if they need an overdraft today, all they need to do is just send their management accounts, their audited accounts to the bank, giving some justification, and funds will be out. Yeah. So if the small business can do this also, they will scale.
I agree.
So that's the planning and budgeting process really for organizations.
So from what I learned from what you just said, which is very insightful, planning in organization from a corporate level is something that even the small businesses can actually take and actually use in their day-to-day, because it kind of helps when you, just like big organization, you plan before the next fiscal year. You understand that it helps you break down your planning and even budgets and forecasting by Q1, Q2, Q2, 3, Q4. And it also helps you plan into the future. So you kind of can easily forecast and say, okay, my goal is to make like 10 million X in my revenue at the end of the year. It kind of helps you to plan towards whatever. And that by Q1, you check your budget, you check your planning, that did we sell what we're supposed to sell? I think that's very insightful, because like I know OPEX, that's operation cost, is something that is very important on a day-to-day. It even helps you plan towards your operation costs well.
Yeah.
And I also see how I'm taking back the knowledge I'm getting from you and share and trying to break it down. And I also see how, from a small business standpoint, how if I do this on a regular basis, how it can help me even plan towards scaling my business.
Exactly.
And I think that's very important for people to know the importance of budgeting, because I think the reason why a lot of small businesses are where they are is because they don't have all of this plan inculcated in their business.
Yes, they do not. For them, it's just a day-to-day activity. We come in today, we sell. Look at COVID, for example. Mm-hmm. People that weren't planning, it wasn't easy for them because they couldn't go out. And because they're used to the daily income, the daily revenue, just, that cycle. And now they didn't go out for like about over 1 year.
That's great.
It was tough for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough for them. And I just hope that a lot of people will take learning from that, and start doing things the right way. It's just a principle. If you follow the process, you will get the results. It's a given.
Yeah. And I think it's something that's just always been there over time in life. The fact that when you budget well, you have enough to save.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. Moving on to our next question. I know we had spoken about this a little bit in some of the previous conversation. Just similar to current corporate budgeting, how do you budget as a mother and a wife? Because you're also leading a home. So how do you, I know we've spoken a little bit about it, just give me a little bit of extra insight on that.
So it's still the same approach, right? Mm-hmm. Planning as a family. So we spoke about planning for organization, planning as a family, right? So when it comes to family, the question again is, what do you want to achieve, right? Family, you have education if you have children. What is your current state? Are you living in a rented apartment? Do you plan to get your own apartment soon? What's your plan for vacation? What's your plan for monthly feeding? Just put all of this in different buckets. And what is the family income? How do we allocate all of this income that we have? Right? Because we already know what our priorities are: education, feeding, housing, holiday, parents, giving back to your parents or, siblings and all of that. So it's just about planning for all of these buckets, determine what the income is. Okay, the household income is 2 million naira. How much is school fees for the children? How many children do you have? How much is their school fees? School fees, you pay it almost every quarter, right? We have 3 terms in a year. So you already know that I will pay X amount every 3 months. How do we want to do it? Do we always want to dedicate an amount every month for school fees so it is even? We know that, okay, from this income, January to February to December, we just put X amount in this bucket, right? Vacation, where are we going to? I mean, it doesn't have to be abroad. It's just about the family bonding. That's what is most important. So if you can't afford that vacation to Dubai this year, it's okay. There are other options around. You can still enjoy the family time without spending beyond the plan. So that's basically it. Just know the buckets that is priority for you. Begin to put. I like to use the wallet system.
Yeah.
Like I have different bank accounts for different things.
I do.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I mean, and I wouldn't also forget myself as a person, right? So I see a lot of women fall into this I don't even know what to call it, where they just, care for the family, care for the children, the husband, but they forget themselves. No, please, it's time to change that narrative.
I agree.
It's time to change that narrative. So for me, we have the family income. There's also something for me as a person,
Yeah.
right? So I budget for, there's this account I have. Anything in that account is for me as an individual. Anything I want to do with it. That's where I have my fashion, my hair budget, everything is there. There's a particular account where we put everything I put here is like an emergency fund. I don't like to touch the fund in that account except there is a need for it, right? And then we have the one that goes for the children, for planning for the future. So that is how I approach it. I have that wallet system where I use different bank accounts and different savings app for different reasons. Okay. So I don't mix the funds really. I don't mix the funds. So what is for family is not going to spill into my own personal expense, because sometimes, you know how money is. You just see a lot of money and you just think that it's okay. Let me just, go to the cinemas, 20,000, 50,000, and then you come back and you see that, oh, this fund is not enough for this purpose again. But if you use the wallet system, you already know as you are going out that, okay, this is the maximum you can spend from this account. If what you're going out for is going to go beyond, maybe you should change your location, stuff like that. So that is what I do personally. Know my family income, prioritize our expense, and then allocate resources accordingly. And I do not forget myself. Very, very important. Mm-hmm. I come first, right? I do not forget myself. I have a budget for myself where I do my personal stuff. I also budget for things like my education. There are times I just want to do a particular course, continuous improvement. Because I have a particular bank account that caters for this, it's just easy for me. Once I just check it and I say that, okay, I can afford this, just go for it. So it reduces the stress on the family, right? So don't use the school fees money to go and finance the mortgage. I mean, there's going to be problems here and there. So planning, again, it still goes back to the same thing we've been talking about, planning. So families also need to plan. Know your income, prioritize your income. And like the first question you asked, that in period of inflation like this, if the family income needs to increase, it's time to 10x your income, go for it, right? Because really, nobody's coming to save you. If you don't save yourself,
I agree.
You continue to complain.
Wow, that's actually very insightful, because when I think about the wallet strategy, I actually like that strategy. I do a little bit, but I think I'm going to go deeper, because thinking about that strategy, I imagine someone not having that wallet, breaking your money into and you just keep swiping.
You just wake up
and all your money is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, I do agree. Putting each of your expenses in different buckets, it kind of helps you. This is for saving. This is for the kids. This is for maybe chores, extra things. So you have breaking everything into different buckets, which kind of helps you plan for the future. That's really, love it. I hope the viewers love that tip, because that's like a big tip.
I hope so too. And one thing I need to emphasize, especially for women, is to plan for themselves and prioritize. It is very, very important. It is, if there's anything I want everybody, one of the things I want people to take away is that women need to plan for themselves also and prioritize their well-being by planning.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you, women. It's very, I feel like it's not easy to be a female, so I kind of get that. And we do a lot, and we can sometimes forget ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very good tip. How can we? I think we've said most of the thing. I'm just going to run down. What do you think people are doing wrong? I know from the conversation we've had now, I think what people are doing wrong, if I have to answer that, is that they are not planning soon enough, and their behavior is wrong when it comes towards budgeting. So I want to assume that's a good answer, but what do you think based on everything I've been saying?
Yes, that's the answer. And another thing I think a lot of people are abusing, or some people are abusing, is debts. Right? So debt can be good. Debt is actually neutral. It can be good, it can be bad, depending on what you use it for. Right? But these days, because of how easy it is to access loan, we have a lot of apps that would
just give you money
right away. It feels like, easy money. But if you're not using it for the right purpose, then it's harming your finance. You pay a lot of interest, and it's a cycle. Because you know that there's easy money, it's always easy for you to just go and ask for the 50,000 naira today, tomorrow 200,000 naira, and you keep paying the interest. Some people are not even able to pay up, and then they just abandon the app and move on to another app. Again, because they are not planning, they just turn to that debt as a cycle. You cannot achieve anything meaningful with that. Debt is supposed to be for a purpose. If you're a business owner, for example, yes, maybe you need working capital. You need funds to finance your daily operations, to buy your goods, sell, and all of that. It's okay if you are using it the right way, just to support the business, right? It's okay. But you will find out that a lot of times people abuse these things. And once you get into that cycle, it becomes a race for you, in and out of debt. And there is really nothing to show for it, right? So, for example, for individuals, why would you want to go get a debt to buy human hair? Why? But because these things are available, it just feels like, it's Christmas, let me just pamper myself. It's okay to pamper yourself, but you're supposed to plan, right? You should have been planning, what am I getting for myself this Christmas? Plan for it, not go to one app and just get money to do this, because the money is just for consumption. Debt is supposed to be for something that, would either increase your income or add value. We have mortgage. Mortgage is good, because if you access mortgage today, for example, to get a property for yourself, you're actually getting time. You're getting value for money right now, because if you look at the time it will take for you to save that same money you would have borrowed to get that property, inflation will catch up with you, right? So that's a good debt, right? If you're getting debt to support your business, it's a good debt. But if you're getting loan to finance your dirty December trips, then that's a bad habit, right? So it's habitual, right? So if you're not in the habit of planning, this is what will happen, right? The vacuum must be filled. Is it that you're disciplined with your planning, or you're not disciplined and you're in a cycle of debt? That vacuum will be filled either with a positive or negative attitude. One of the two will happen.
Yeah. You always drop some major tips and major motivational words. But one thing that you dropped there that I really picked was discipline. The fact that I know behavior discipline. I know we've used behavior a lot, but just adding that to discipline, it shows how if you're firm enough to say no, I shouldn't get this because I don't need it, it doesn't add value to me. That discipline is very important when it comes to money, when it
Yes.
comes to budgeting,
Very, very.
and helps your future at the end of the day.
It helps the future at the end. I mean, sometimes it looks like this concept of future. You're like, the future will take care of itself. The future is not going to take care of itself if you don't plan. And the future is actually very close. It's closer than we think, you know. Because we are saying the future, it feels like, oh, when I'm 50 or when I'm 60, look at yourself today and just look 5 years down the line. You'll be grateful for some of the decisions you took 5 years ago, right? So the future is like tomorrow. It's so close, right? So some people have missed it. It's time for them to get into that habit so that maybe the next 5 or 10 years would not be the way it is today, right? So this concept of future we are talking about is not something that is far away. It's actually very, very close. So, and it's closer. Look, when did we start 2024? It's already December, right? We are how many days to go? 30 days?
Yeah. No, 29 days.
So this 2025, Vision 2025 that some people have for themselves, it's going to start in the next 25 days, 29 days rather. So that is why the concept of future should also not be thought of as something that is very, very far off. It's closer than we think. So the earlier we get into this discipline of planning, the better. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's very, very, I love it. I love everything you just said. We have, I think, one final question.
Okay.
I think you've even given all the whole tips all over, but I think I would like you to like sum it up. So I would like to this question. What are your recommendations? A sum of everything you said. So what's like the final recommendation you have for people so that they could budget well, so that they could budget to save? Because I know we are looking at the future. At the end of the day, budgeting will help us save for our future, and also how they could plan for the future. So what's your, based on everything we've said today, what's your overall recommendation in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, I'd say that what's your why? What do you really want to achieve? Right? What are you looking up to? When you understand that why, it will guide your actions today. Right? So just try to think of every 5 years. When I wake up in the next 5 years. So for example, you're 25 today. When I wake up on my birthday, when I'm 30, what do I want my life to look like? Create a vision for that particular day. What do you want it to look like? And begin to act towards that day, right? Oh, you want to, so many dreams. I mean, like I can begin to, because that was what I actually did at some point with a friend of mine. I'm like, okay, in the next 2 years, where do I want to be? So we started documenting, okay. I mean, I was just thinking big and it's okay. Okay, I want to do this. I want to do this. This is how I want everything to look like. And then just start planning towards it. Do you want to go back to school? You plan for it, right? Do you want to have the best education for your children? How old are your children today, right? You have a child that is 5 years old. Begin to think that, okay, this child is 5 years old today. It's probably in year 1. What kind of school, secondary school, university, do I want this child to attend? When you know that school, it will guide your action today. You can't tell me that you want your children to attend Harvard and you're spending lavishly today when you don't have a business that is going to guarantee that income, right? So that's mindset that, okay, this is how I want things to be, will guide your actions today. So always start with your why. What do you want to achieve? When you're clear, you might not be totally clear, but you have an idea. It's okay to dream big. You have an idea of what you want to achieve. Document it. That idea is not something you have in your head. Make the vision plain. Write it down. You can write it on your phone. We have apps, notes. Just write it down. Maybe 5, 10 things you want to achieve and start planning towards it. That's just it. So have your why. Understand your why, be disciplined and start planning towards that thing that you're looking at. You will be disciplined by default and it will guide every other action. Everything we are talking about sums up to have a why. Okay. When you have your why, you are good to go.
Nice. This is very, very, overall, this is all insightful. I gained a lot of knowledge. A lot. I think I'm wiser when it comes to budgeting just from this conversation. And one big thing at the end of the whole conversation that I picked was the why. And also documenting your vision, because it's okay to dream big, but the why helps you say, if this is what I want, what do I have to do to achieve that goal?
Exactly.
So I think that's very insightful. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all of your knowledge with us, because
Thank you for the
we're still
opportunity.
learning. Thank you so much, Tobi Benson. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
Thank you. We have a gift for you from Ashiri Beauty. Thank you so much for coming to the show, and this is for you.
Thank you so much.
You have all of the Ashiri Beauty box with all of their products there for you to try out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I look forward to trying this. I'm a beauty enthusiast.
Yes.
So I look forward
spoke
to
about that.
using this and giving you my reviews. But I trust their beautiful products because they're looking so beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashiri.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, my name is Omolola. I am the host for Fin with Lo. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the pod. Bye.